Struggling with blood sugar levels, ready to shed those extra pounds effortlessly? Look no further. Sugar Defender, the #1 rated blood sugar formula, is here to transform your health and help you achieve your wellness goals. Click the link in the video description to get started with Sugar Defender today.
Seafood fraud has become a growing problem in U.S., and companies are sneaking faux fish ingredients in foods like crab, lobster, and salmon. International fishing companies are committing massive fraud by sneaking the cheap substitutes into seafood rather than serving suppliers and consumers the real deal. Seafood fraud is perhaps one of the most fraudulent items that consumers are coming into contact with regularly, Max Valentine, campaign director of Oceana, told Business Insider. Things like seafood cost and fishing tactics play roles in the fraud, and studies have shown that 84% of seafood eaten in the U.S. is imported. Despite the increase in the commonality of seafood fraud, there are still ways in which consumers, chefs, and other experts can tell when some of it is real. Seafood fraud caught the attention of the non-profit organization Oceana years ago, and they conducted one of its largest investigations into the practice from 2010 to 2012. Oceana collected over 1,200 seafood samples from 674 retail outlets in 21 states. Based on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, guidelines, 33% of the samples were determined to be mislabeled. Oceana also concluded in a 2012 seafood fraud report that 56 of the 142 samples they took from 81 retail outlets in New York were mislabeled, and more than half the locations in the state have sold mislabeled fish. Mislabeling in seafood refers to individuals or companies selling one species of fish, crustacean, or shellfish as another species. An example of this fraud, according to Business Insider, was if a restaurant takes a $3 tilapia and passes it off as a $17 red snapper. Recent studies via Oceana now show that seafood may be mislabeled between 25 to 75% of the time on fish like red snapper, wild salmon, and Atlantic cod. Consumers are getting ripped off, Oceana Vice President Beth Lowell told CNN in 2019. We've been testing seafood for 9 years now, and every time we do a study, we think, maybe we will no longer see a problem. But we keep finding it, and we know it's having an impact on our oceans. Valentine, who's also a seafood fraud expert, discussed the decrease in fish population in places like Chesapeake Bay, a body of water where fishermen can catch Maryland blue crabs. Population levels have been declining because of environmental water quality issues, especially in Chesapeake Bay, said Valentine. She added that the Maryland blue crabs are now being sold for astronomical prices, and only a limited supply exists. This was likely one of the reasons why 40% of Maryland blue crab cakes in Washington, D.C. and Maryland were mislabeled in 2015. It would turn out to be swimming crab from Southeast Asia, and it's incredibly cheaper, Valentine told Business Insider. The tuna fish industry has also been a cause for concern, one reason being the common mislabeling of bluefin tuna. The tuna fishery is especially difficult to manage because tuna are migratory in nature, and as a result, the vessels targeting tuna are usually fishing across multiple jurisdictions, Peter Hammerstead, director of campaigns, Sea Shepherd, told Business Insider. Another issue is fake tuna, which Business Insider says includes individuals attempting to sell escalar, a non-expensive fish that may contain high levels of mercury. If you can be successful at that fraud, the returns are huge, said Valentine. Other than retail outlets, suppliers and restaurant chains have tarnished their reputations in the past due to their fraudulent seafood decisions. Law enforcement busted a Virginia seafood supplier for labeling 400,000 pounds of imported lump crab as a U.S. product. Michael Casey of Casey's Seafood pleaded guilty to falsely labeling the crab meat in 2019 and revealed that he was aware of the fraudulent activity as early as 2010. The imported crab meat came from Indonesia, China, Thailand, Vietnam, and Central and South America. Casey was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison later that year, and Casey Seafood, Inc. is now permanently closed. The Frankie Benny's restaurant chain also found itself in hot water in 2014 after its superiors admitted to using only 45% real crab in its crab bruschetta, with the rest being reconstituted fish paste. The restaurant chain is still running, but it removed the crab bruschetta and received the lowest rating in it.